Here's a little backstory before I tell you everything. I graduated community college in 2011 when I was 23 and moved out with my husband shortly after, feeling I didn't need to live under the care of my parents anymore at that point. I know it's weird, but we really didn't have any money beforehand and they were nice enough to let us stay with them. Still, we didn't have much money, and with my current wage I couldn't really afford to live in a nice neighborhood. So we opted for a house in a decent looking part of Alabama. It looked nice, we could afford it, and it was close enough to town. And everything is looking good for us, and we're there about 3 months, enjoying ourselves. Work was great, I had a comfortable life, and we didn't really have any troubles besides our lowish income. We were happy enough. But let me stop myself right there, because there's no way to segue into this smoothly, because it happened out of nowhere. I'm in my kitchen at about 1 in the morning making myself a snack, probably around May. My husband leaves for work at 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. So I'm eating my snack over the kitchen counter when my front door just flies open and this guy wearing a white mask like one of those dancers sees me, runs towards me and jumps me, pinning me to the floor and covering my mouth, stuffing a dirty sock in it. 2 more guys come in and start tying me up while the other one is holding me down. Of course I'm struggling and screaming, but once I'm tied up, the guy covering my mouth pulls out a switchblade and says, "Shut your fucking mouth, bitch, or I'll slit your throat right here and now." I can't help but cry, but I try to more quietly, of course, because I don't want to die. The guy is standing above me while I'm on the floor in the corner. They turn the lights out and make sure no one else was around. They weren't, of course, because our houses were spaced a little far apart, and it wouldn't take much force for them to kick in a door like mine. So I didn't think anyone had heard a sound, and even if they did, rednecks do that kind of stuff all the time. It's Alabama. After a few minutes, they brought a camera in and some other stuff and a laptop and started setting things up in another room. He said, "You're gonna put on a good show for these people," and dragged me by my hair into another room. It hurt so much, and a clump of it came off in his hand. I could see the camera, and the screen was pointed at me, so I could see myself too, and a bunch of scrolling words on the screen. Then I heard a chime, and the man asked, "What do you want us to do?" Then he said, "No, that's not enough," and walked over and slapped me really hard enough to make my head start ringing and my mouth bleed. And he said really loudly, "That's all you get for that much." And then he started laughing shortly after, saying, "That's more like it," over and over, before they positioned me with my face to the ground and lifted my rear up. He said, "So you want me to fuck this bitch with this?" and pulled out the switchblade from earlier. I was nearly raped by a fucking knife. I wasn't though, luckily. You probably won't believe this, I didn't. But my husband came home early because I didn't answer his call while he was on break, and I always, and I do mean always, answer when he calls on his breaks. He worries to the point that it's smothering sometimes, but I was the most thankful that I'd ever been in my life whenever he showed up. He saw the car left in front and walked in carrying the pistol he kept in his car. He shouted my name to see if I was home, and I screamed as loud as I could through the sock and tape. Those guys lock the door and climb out of the window while my husband is beating it down. I'm sure they would have grabbed me if they could have, but he was able to kick it down. He let off a few shots before the last guy left and hit him in his foot. They ran away, but he called the police after untying me and let them know which way he saw the car going and what they were wearing. The police said they captured suspects, but we didn't hear much after that. We moved again, a week after that happened, to Colorado, and have since gotten better paying jobs, a security system, and I keep a gun on me now. So whoever the fuck those guys were, let's not meet again, ever, or I'll fucking kill you.
I never had any experiences with the deep web until a little while ago. My brother and I were always really close. We'd do everything together and be totally honest with each other. One day, I saw that he was on the computer. I went over to see what he was viewing, and I saw this website where I found many illegal drugs. I told him it was wrong and that our parents would find out for sure. Dude, this is untraceable. Nobody's gonna find out shit. I didn't want to get my brother into trouble with our parents. I wasn't about to rat on my closest bro. On top of that, my parents were away at the time. He found an ad that was selling some type of weed. He clicked on it to find 1 or 2 reviews that gave it high ratings. The product was very cheap as well, but something was off about it. This page was very suspicious. I suggested to my brother that if he was going to buy drugs, he would buy something that had more positive reviews. Of course, he insisted on buying this product. I'm not into drugs, and I wanted to stay out of it. However, I wanted to make sure my brother wasn't getting into that much trouble. He ended up buying that product for really cheap. Since this guy lives close to us, we can expect a quick delivery, said my brother. He proceeded to go on a rant, gave me a few pointers about the site, almost like he was a pro at it. So we waited for the weed to be delivered. A few days later, we heard a knock at the door. I went to go see who it was. It was a man who looked extremely shady. He was not very well groomed, his hair was all messed up and he had a scruffy face and a beer gut, and was just plain creepy. Of course, my brother answered the door to get his weed. "The weed's in the van," said the man. He then asked my brother to come with him. I was about to draw my brother back, but there was no stopping him. I wanted to make sure my brother was going to be okay, so I went out with him. As we walked, I saw a big van. I looked at the passenger side window to see eyes peering out at us. I could see someone in a black ski mask looking at us. He quickly ducked his head. I grabbed my brother and started to run towards the house. That creepy bastard and the guy in the ski mask darted after us. We were able to get inside. I immediately locked the door. The men started pounding on the door. It was only a matter of time before they broke it down. By some stroke of luck, a man who was walking his dog happened to walk by and immediately became suspicious. He scared the men off. They got into their van and left. After a while, my brother and I got the courage to check the street to see if they were still there. We saw the van parked at the beginning of the street. My parents came home and they drove off. Ever since then, my brother and I never went on the deep web again.